guys. Long time, no talk. I started jury duty today, so I saw a lot of new people. And hello Dante, in case you see this. And we'll start. We have an interesting book today for you. Owl Moon by Jane Yolen, illustrated by John Schoenberg. One second. Get prepared here. Yeah, this is a book about late one winter night. A little girl and her father go owling. The trees stand still as statues, in the world as silent as a dream. Woo, 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 the father calls to the mysterious nighttime bird, but there is no answer. Wordlessly, the two companions walk along, for when you go owling, you don't need words, you don't need anything but hope. Sometimes there isn't an owl, but sometimes there is. Distinguished author Jane Yolen has created a gentle, poetic story that lovingly depicts the special companionship of a young child and her father, as well as humankind's close relationship to the natural world. Wonderfully complemented by award-winning John Schoenberg's soft, exquisite watercolor illustrations. This is a verbal and visual treasure, perfect for reading aloud and sharing at bedtime. Owl Moon by Jane Yolen, illustrated by John Schoenberg. Philomel Books, New York. This is for her husband David, who took all of our children owling. And granddaughter Nassia, for whom she's old enough to go owling. Here we go. It was late one winter night, long past my bedtime, when Pa and I went owling. There was no wind, the trees stood still as giant statues, and the moon was so bright the sky seemed to shine. Somewhere behind us a train whistle blew, long and low, like a sad, sad song. I could hear it through the woolen cap Pa had pulled down over my ears. A farm dog answered the train, and then a second dog joined in. They sang out, trains and dogs, for a real long time. And when their voices faded away, it was as quiet as a dream. We walked on toward the woods, Pa and I. There they are walking towards the woods. There's the woods. Our feet crunched over the crisp snow, and little gray footprints followed us. Pa made a long shadow, but mine was short and round. I had to run after him every now and then to keep up, and my short, round shadow bumped after me. There they are, there's a bird, you see. But I never called out. If you go owling, you have to be quiet. That's what Pa always says. I had been waiting to go owling with Pa for a long, long time. We reached the line of pine trees, black and pointy against the sky, and Pa held up his hands. I stopped right where I was and waited. He looked up as if searching the stars, as if reading a map up there. The moon made his face into a silver mask. Then he called, woo, 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 the sound of a great horned owl. Woo, 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 woo. There they are, there they go. Daughter and father, they're going owling. Again he called out, and then again, after each call he was silent, and for a moment we both listened. But there was no answer. Pa shrugged, and I shrugged. I was not disappointed. My brothers all said, sometimes there's an owl, and sometimes there isn't. There they are. They didn't find the owl yet. We walked on. I could feel the cold, as if someone's icy hand was palmed down on my back, and my nose and the tops of my cheeks felt cold and hot at the same time, but I never said a word. If you go owling, you have to be quiet and make your own heat. There they are, they're all bundled up, and they're trying to keep warm, and they're trying to find the owl. We went into the woods. The shadows were the blackest things I had ever seen. They They stained the white snow. My mouth felt furry, for the scarf over it was wet and warm. I didn't ask what kinds of things hide behind black trees in the middle of the night. When you go owling, you have to be brave. You have to be brave. There they are. There's the woods. Then we came to a clearing in the dark woods. The moon was high above us. It seemed to fit exactly over the center of the clearing, and the snow below it was whiter than the milk in a cereal bowl. Here you see, there's the woods and the snow and the clearing. And there they are. I sighed, and Pa held up his hand at the sound. I put my mittens over the scarf, over my mouth, and listened hard. And then Pa called, "Whoo, whoo, 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 whoo." I listened and looked so hard, my ears hurt, and my eyes got cloudy with the cold. Pa raised his face to call out again, but before he could open his mouth, an echo came threading its way through the trees. Woo, 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 woo. You see, they hear an echo threading. Pa almost smiled, then he called back, "Woo, woo, 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 woo," just as if he and the owl were talking about supper, or about the woods, or the moon, or the cold. I took my mitten off the scarf, off my mouth, and I almost smiled too. The owl's call came closer, from high up in the trees on the edge of the meadow. Nothing in the meadow moved. All of a sudden, an owl's shadow, part of the big tree shadow, lifted off and flew right over us. We watched silently with heat in our mouths and the heat of all those words we had not spoken. The shadow hooted again. There they are. Okay. Pa turned on his big flashlight and caught the owl just as it was landing on a branch. There we go. He caught him. For 1 minute, 3 minutes, maybe even 100 minutes, we stared at one another. There they are, staring at each other. There's the owl. Then the owl pumped its great wings and lifted off the branch like a shadow without sound. It flew back into the forest. "Time to go home," Pa said to me. I knew then I could talk. I could even laugh out loud. But I was a shadow as we walked home. When you go owling, you don't need words or warm or anything but hope. That's what Pa says. The kind of hope that flies on silent wings under a shining owl moon. Jane Yolen, Philomel, author of Touch Magic and Neptune Rising, is one of today's most versatile and distinguished writers of books for young readers. Acclaimed for her poetry, humorous fiction, fantasy, and folk tales, and novels for young adults. Al Mullen has been a particular pleasure for her to write, since her husband, David Stemple, frequently went owling on winter nights with their 3 children, Heidi, Adam, and Jason, near their own Massachusetts home, with the same anticipation and excitement as the characters in this story. Owling is a familiar pastime to naturalist writer John Schoenherr as well, renowned illustrator of over 40 books, including the classic Rascal, Julie of the Wolves, Gentle Ben, and Dune. Schoenherr was educated at the Art Students League at Pratt Institute. In recent years, he has primarily painted and has been featured in galleries across the country. Schoenherr was enticed back to illustrating in children's books by the story Owl Moon, which reminded him of his nighttime walks with his children, Jennifer and Ian. Indeed, the farm featured in Owl Moon is that the Schoenherr farm, and the shadow trees and trails are landmarks past which he and his family trudged on winter nights, searching for the magnificent and elusive owl. So here we go, Owl Moon, a very nice book. And, okay, thanks a lot. Thanks for tuning in, and we appreciate your tuning in, and we